morning. How's everybody doing today? I want to talk to you today about a subject, and it's kind of changed up a little bit what I traditionally do in these broadcasts. Usually I give you an update on a particular issue or a particular project that we're working on. Usually it's the campus. But today I wanted to talk to you about something that we go through every day, just making decisions. I wanted to do that because for two reasons: to inform all of you sort of the framework that I use and that we use here as a management team to make decisions, and then secondly, to prepare you for all the upcoming decisions that we're going to make in terms of our reopening and what's the future for the department. And really, this is really to give you a foundation to understand how things are going to go forward. I know there's a lot of questions and a lot of unknowns, but I thought that to best cue this issue up this coming year is for you to understand where my mind is on this. So traditionally, decision making is thought of in a linear fashion, right? As a manager, you're supposed to gather facts, evaluate all the options, and then come to a conclusion and make a decision based on that conclusion. And there's an illustration I saw on the internet that I'm using for that, right? It's very, very straightforward and very linear. And it makes the assumption that all the information that we're getting comes in a certain way and is sort of all the same equal value, right? But that's not what really happens, right? The world in which we live in is not that straightforward and not that linear. If anything, it's much more chaotic. So I found a second illustration, which is coming up, that really shows how we have to look at an issue and how things come to us, right? There is no straight line. There is no direct access. There is a lot of different things. And more importantly, there's a lot of external influencers that affect what we decide on, that affect the parameters that we can make a decision on. Some of them are state legislative issues. Some of them are court decisions. Some of them are local guidance from our local officials. Some of them are budgetary constraints. Some of them are the need for us to meet the needs of our clients, and we have to balance all these factors in before we are allowed to make a decision, or really before we even have what we would consider an adequate set of facts. So the result is you have this mishmash, right? You have this amalgamation of things that can affect how you make a decision. And that's the next illustration that they'll be bringing up. That really is how information comes into us. It's not a clean way, it's not a straightforward way, and there's a lot of little eddies and ripples in how we gather information to make a decision. And that's important to know, because in the department, we try to balance what I try to categorize as the nexus between what traditional managers think of as hierarchical decision-making, right? Or authoritarian decision-making versus a democratic process where multiple players can have input to what we're doing. This is different than some other entities. The traditional model is really supported by this authoritarian decision-making where things are flow up to the top and ultimately the person at the top making the final decision and making the final call. I don't really subscribe to that. I think that we try to have a balanced approach between that model and a model that, which in classical management theory is described as a democratic decision-making model, where all influences of decisions sort of have an equal say in what gets decided. Neither one is strictly the best way to do it, because if you had a purely democratic way, if we took a poll every time we had to make a decision for all of you, right, we would never have consistent results, right? And if we had an authoritarian way where I was the sole decider, then we wouldn't have good results, right? You'd have a very uneven set of results for what would happen. So as a result, we have this decision-making process that tries to blend the two issues, right? Tries to meld how much information we can gather and how we can gather consensus in a somewhat democratic process, so that ultimately the choices within the remaining options made by the executive team, which is in our system, you would consider the authoritarian part, right, would make the choice of what is decided. So, and this is important because I want you to understand that we just don't make decisions on the fly. We don't make decisions based on emotion. We don't make decisions based on my preference. We make decisions based on a longer arc of what needs to happen. And the final little illustration I have here, it's one that really describes the viewpoint that I have on how we need to look at decisions. And decisions need to have either, even in a short-term decision that's going to be a couple months out or implemented within a short period of time, there's interim steps that you need to look at, points to look at to make sure that you can make that decision. But a majority of the decisions that we make, it's a much longer arc, 20, 30 years out, 15 years out, how this is going to impact the department. And I like to think of it as when you play golf. Most people know I play a lot of golf, right? When you play golf, right, and you hitting your shot, you're hitting your shot hoping that whatever little things you're off at the beginning, you're not going to be so far off when you get to the end point, that you're going to be within an approximation of where you think you're going to be. And really that is long-term decision making, right? That is how you decide how to do things long-term. And that is really how we're balancing what's happening right now here locally. It's not just what's going to happen tomorrow or next week, but what's going to happen for our department and for our clients in the long term. So that's really how I contribute to the decision making and how ultimately our executive team makes its decisions based on this funnel view of a long arc of what happens in the lifespan of a decision. And some of these, and like in terms of the campus, are a 20, 30-year lifespan. Some of them are a year, some of them a month. Some of them for individuals do have somewhat of an immediate reaction or some immediate impact. But that is why we do it that way. It's to have a very long view and to try to be as consistent so that in 20 years from now, 30 years from now, the outcomes of those decisions is as close to what we thought it was going to be when we made the decisions. So why is that important? It's important because over the next couple of months, we'll be making major decisions in terms of our operations, in terms of our service to our clients, and especially in terms of your working conditions. It's something that we've had to think about, and we're going to be thinking about as a management team, as the supervisors, on how that's going to happen. We have a responsibility to the public to provide a product, to provide a set of services. And we need to adapt, continue to adapt to meet that service need. We've tried to adapt and we tried to accommodate all the safety needs, but there is a growing disconnect between that and our outcomes, and we need to adjust. So in the next few weeks, the managers and supervisors and the executive team will be coming up with new plans on how we're going to operate. And that's going to necessitate change, but I wanted you to understand that as a department, as your management team, we have really thought these things through. We have used a structured way of making a decision so that we all understand what's going to happen and we can account for as much as we can. So ultimately, the result is the best for our clients and the best and the safest way for you to do the work. This is important. It is a significant change. I trust that you hope and trust, really, that you understand that we're trying to do the right thing, that we're trying to do best by all of you and the best thing for our clients, but we will have a change. And so this topic, really I called it at the beginning, was decision making, but really it's going to lead into change management. How do we change what we're currently doing to accommodate the needs of our clients and to ensuring we're doing the right thing? And that is a big thing that's going to come up in the next couple months. I hope that you're patient with us on this. I hope that if you have the opportunity to participate in someone's decision, that you look at these decisions, kind of the funnel that I try to look at it, right? It's not just what I want, it's what the broader picture is, and that we can all contribute to the health and safety of our community and to our department. So that's really, I know it's a little deep subject and it's not traditionally what I talk to you all about, but I thought it was important that I bring this issue to you and kind of cue this up, because that is the issue that we're going to be dealing with over the next couple months. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. I can thank you for your work here at the department, your support of the community, the support of your management team. And again, I appreciate all of you so much. And again, thank you.